Yeah.
We're getting way off the rails here. Who has a 100-word summary of how we wrapped up Pirate's adventure?
We were really bummed out because the fucking hammer ended up being the bad guy.
So you were like depressed that it was Runthael?
Yeah, I was a little bummed out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would you have been satisfied to be the traitor?
Almost
That
anyone
shitty-ass
else.
Goblin.
Almost anyone else.
That shitty goblin.
I think.
I mean, I'd have been pretty happy if, like, Sweetie Bird was playing some 8-dimensional chess.
No!
I was just gonna say, if Sweetie Bird had been the traitor, Nodal would have rage quit the game.
Yes, I am convinced that is true. Yes.
Sweetie Bird would have been the trainer. I would have switched sides.
Okay, so that was just me then. So, okay, anyone except Sweetie Bird and the hammer.
Nodal did guess it, though. I didn't know who the traitor was when I introduced all the characters. I decided while you guys were playing in the Kovnos. And I knew right away that it wasn't going to be Yashnars, or the captain, or Ned Noakes. Those were my only criteria.
I'm kind of disappointed it wasn't the captain.
Yeah, would have been pretty good.
I am the traitor. I fooled you all. Well done.
But, like, if Yashnars is the traitor and you kill him, then the campaign just ends and the words time paradox
Oh, it's,
show up.
Yeah, it's true.
it's Dungeons and Dragons. There's no safety. He's already died once.
Raazu, you created a time paradox.
Part of your negotiations with Captain Eyes, well, first of all, he gave you some parting gifts.
He did. He gave us some magical ink and parchment that we could use to send a message to him.
Yep.
He gave you 3 pieces of parchment for 3 specific purposes.
One was to respond with him the details of the meeting to come. The second was to call him if we ever got in a jam, and the third was just for our own personal use, as I recall.
So, in order to uphold your end of the bargain, you will now be journeying from this area of the map where they dropped you off to this area of the map where the red dragon who owes you a favor lives.
Ooh, it's gonna be a little bit of a walk.
But you have lots of friends and stuff on the way, so
That's true.
You should just fly.
it's a good idea. Get on that.
Yeah.
Can Adrex fly yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's gonna be a few levels. He can't get it at 10 because he doesn't get the feet. He doesn't get his feet until 12.
Well, you don't need feet in order to fly.
Hey!
The feet still
But he needs feet to land.
No, you don't.
Well, this is Adrex.
You just need to mount wheels on Adrex. Give him some landing
If
gear.
landing is called landing, why isn't flying called skying?
No, skying would be taking off.
Yeah, he's right.
Oh, okay.
Landing isn't walking on the ground. It's the act of transitioning from sky to
No,
land.
yeah, that checks out.
Mhm. So, can I just get some backup here? Just get something off my chest. The
Yeah.
name Feats is dumb, right? Like, for what they
Yeah.
are? And
Yeah.
always has been?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just make sure that I'm not the only one.
Yeah, it never even worked when they put it in 3E because most of them are like passive attributes.
I feel like there's
They
got to be
introduced it.
somebody on that design team who's like, perks, that's what they should have...
I feel like they must have at one point in the design all been stuff like cleave that was actually things you can do, and
Like
then
a
they
feat.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they started adding more. There's no way that that's not how it happened.
And now it's just there. Like, they can't change the
Yeah.
word now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they fucked up 4E by putting in feats specifically because they thought players would be upset if there wasn't something called feats in the game.
And then
and they
they
made the
fucked up
system
the
up.
feats.
Goddamn mess that they weren't even needed.
To be fair, they were technically right, because there would be players who'd be upset no matter what they did.
Yeah, but those people were never going to enjoy 4E.
Okay, but they added feats in 4E, and then later they added the same feats, but better.
Yeah,
Like, that's
it-
objectively bad.
mechanically, the only thing I seriously find is the problem in that system is feats. Like, if you throw those out, it's actually pretty good.
They almost did that with 5e, with some of their playtest stuff, when they came out with all those
Yep.
weapon feats, remember?
Yep.
And they were just, like, better than the feats in the book, and that's what all their feedback was, so they didn't publish them. And good on them. Do we have anybody in this group who doesn't have any feats, just out of curiosity?
Raazu is Sentinel, but that's it.
Yeah.
I really
might
like
not.
feats.
I think
keep
I've
picking
just
really dumb
maxed
ones.
my stats.
So Red might be the first D&D character I know of in 5e who hasn't taken at least one feat.
I finally got my. You know, I could go for 20 charisma too, so I might never get a feat.
So what's the plan for getting from there to here? What kind of things are you guys looking to accomplish during the journey?
Well, there was also another loose end that we got to tie up from the pirate ship, and that's this human Rolf that got put off the ship with us.
That's right. I had forgotten about that, and that plot thread would have just gone away, but you're absolutely right.
Me too.
Thank you for reminding all of us.
Because this guy was paid a whole bunch of money by Runthael to murder Red, apparently?
But like,
Look,
he did a bad
Murder's
job at it.
yeah, murder's a real overstatement for what he actually did.
Yeah, he
wasn't
got went
aware
about it
that
the worst way.
he wasn't aware that you were immune to fire. Just to give you an idea about how completely, utterly disorganized I am, I just opened up the notes from the end of the ship stuff to find the stuff for Rolf, and in the middle of like a paragraph, just like broken up, I have pasted a list of all my cooking times that I needed for Thanksgiving.
Nice.
Just kind of, I needed somewhere to stick them, and that text file just happened to be open, and then it got saved,
That's
and now it's
incredible.
just there forever.
Yeah. No, on my work laptop, I have a million text files for individual things, and then I have one that's just labeled current notes.txt, and every so often I save it.
Yeah, mine's called
Yeah.
scratch.txt.
Mine's todo.txt.
So, I guess that's the first question then. As far as Rolf is concerned, I mean, you guys have saved his life. If not for your intervention, he would have been thrown overboard. And as far as the ship is concerned, he's been stricken from the manifests and turned over to you. That's what you all indicated that you wanted for him. He doesn't seems like he conceives like where this act of charity came from, but he's not going to poke at that thread too hard. So the question is, what are you going to do with Rolf?
Ross is very much of the opinion to just leave him for dead.
What's he good at? Because it's not killing people.
He's an able seaman.
Well,
And we're not on the ocean.
Now, are you asking me what he's good at, like, or are you asking him?
asking him.
And, I mean, he kind of stammers out. He's been a slave for part of his life. And he's good at the kind of menial labor that a low-skilled seaman could do. He can carry a pack. He's got some muscle to him. He's able to move for long periods of time without complaint. He tells you that he's able to repair clothes. He's able to build a fire. But that's the kind of stuff he's good at. He doesn't have anything in particular of note to recommend him.
Could we use another person for Night Watch? Because I'm not super good at it at the moment.
Make an insight
I think he's human.
check. He is human.
I thought the plan was to bring him back down to the wall and be like, "Hey, we found another one of these here."
Wendy, make an
Is
insight
it
check
yours?
when you ask about taking Night Watch. Make it at disadvantage, though, because this relies partly on sight.
Oh god, oh god. I can't roll. Oh no, this freaking mouse. That's a 10.
A 10, okay. I mean, he pauses for a moment. He says he can watch the camp at night. He has no difficulty doing that. He basically agrees that he'll do whatever you tell him to the best of his ability. As far as he's concerned, he's your man. Now,
I don't know
Chad,
about you guys, but I'm not comfortable trusting someone who tried to kill another member of our group with a Night Watch. seemingly just for money.
I think you're overreacting a bit. I think he's learned his lesson. Right, Rolf?
And he says, "Of course, sir. Whatever you say."
I mean, I think there's no one here to pay him to kill someone unless one of us is trying to pay him to kill another one of us. So for now, it's probably moot. Worry about that when we get into civilization.
And as
Raazu,
previously stated, his thing isn't killing people because he's really bad at that one.
Raazu stares at Rolf for a minute. And then just says, "Well, if a lot of you think that's the case, then so be it. I'm outvoted."
Well, just stick close with us, and anytime you see someone doing something that you think you might want to crack at, we'll give it a shot. We'll find something you're good at.
He says, "Yes, if you think so, ma'am." And he falls in behind you guys as you start marching west. Where's your first destination?
Can we get a marker to show where party is? Like, let's get a chit out or something like that. Color it something funny. There we go.
Where is the?
I think you said you left us off like right there.
Yes.
Or so? Okay. And our destination is somewhere up in here?
Yes, that's correct.
Alright, so let me mark that. Boop, boop. So that takes us through Fey Country and Titan Spine, which are both kind of bad news. Do we want to give that place a wide berth?
You have allies in Titan Spine.
Yeah.
As I recall, we have a giant who threatened to eat us, I think?
Yeah, we got a bunch of orcs.
That is true. Yes, we do. Thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah, I mean, it would be neat to see what they're up to.
Allies might be a bit of an exaggeration.
You think so?
I mean, we gave him that stronghold. Like,
My recommendation would be to head to the north and make our way along that river.
Where is Adrex's swords that he's supposed to pick up?
We left that very vague. It was somewhere in the woods
somewhere in
around
there.
Titan Spine.
Alright.
It was a couple days' travel from the Orc Stronghold.
yeah, you know what? That's right. Adrex also has his swords there. That's correct. I thought.
Adrex would be pushing, like, hey,
Yeah.
hey, hey, hey.
Don't,
get my swords.
don't worry.
Yeah, what's up? What's
Don't
happening?
worry, Adrex. We'll get there. So yeah, I guess that's a good starting point.
So you're going to head north along the river here, and then make your way towards Titan Spine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Find a way to place to cross Trust End River.
Do you have a plan in mind for crossing the river? Because you have some options. There's a lot of places where it runs through the mountains here. And the area is also heavily forested, but there's not going to be any like construction bridges. There's not going to be anywhere to ford.
Are there any villages or anything around there where we could get a boat?
Yeah, aren't there fishing villages along here that we
We could caulk the wagons and float.
That never works.
So you're going to negotiate with one of the villages around here to get a boat or a skiff and pull your way across?
Yeah.
Oh, I would think we take the boat up the river, do a reverse Lord of the Rings.
Well, you're not going to be taking the boat north through this river because you'd have to find a way to sail up the waterfalls as you go up
Yeah,
in elevation.
You pull the boat off the ground and you carry it up the waterfall.
I mean, I know in 3rd edition, if you have a climb skill of 40, you can just swim up the waterfall, like a salmon.
In 5th edition, if you're a monk and you have a high enough level, you can run up the waterfall.
It's true.
Do you still need to cast Walk on Water for that first?
No, because you can run on water.
Oh, okay.
See, I would rule against that. I would say you can't.
That's because you're a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you're a meanie head, Burkroad.
Although I kind of wish you just tried it and were surprised to find out
Is
that I didn't
there-
allow it.
Is there anything? Is there anything here? Because that's the only place we really need to cross the river.
Let's get somebody to make me a... Call it either a nature or survival check.
Okay, let's see. I can probably help with one of those.
During
Thanks
this
for
travel,
Raazu's-
anybody who is keeping track of, like, rations or water things, your herbalism kits, healer's kits, that kind of thing can be replenished as you're on the march.
I got a plus.
Raazu
5
is trained in survival.
Oh, okay.
One of us could make it an advantage probably if we aided each other. I mean, you don't have any kits to keep up with, do you?
Teamwork.
Oh, you have
Healer's
healer's
kit.
kit, don't you? Yeah, so
Doesn't someone have the class feature? Oh, right, or the background feature. I'm pretty sure it's Treble.
No, this isn't.
Or
This isn't a check for foraging, though.
Right. But I'm just saying, in order to, we don't need to have someone. We don't need to worry about someone forging. But I think that's the Kobold.
Yeah, I'm not super worried about that anyway.
Yeah,
Okay.
Adrex is the Wanderer
For this
feature. You can find
All
food
right,
and
yeah,
for
that's
yourself and up to 5 other people each day.
oh, how coincidental that our hanger-on counts as the 5th.
Is this the one that you rolled, McDohl?
No, I just pulled the die out of the bag.
Okay, go ahead and roll this a second time since you're embarrassed about your one.
Yeah. There you go. That's a 24 on survival.
So, Raazu, after a couple days marching up towards the river, very densely forested region, very lush as you're coming into spring now. The forests are starting to come back to life and the greenery is starting to fill up the trees. Still fairly cold, and as the question of fording this river comes up, you notice the rocky areas in these foothills are pockmarked with holes. There are lots of little natural caves. And your question is whether you could just take a passage through one of these caves that goes beneath or behind one of these waterfalls. Avoid the river that way.
What do you think?
How does the air feel? Does it feel stale, or does it feel like there's some kind of movement in there?
Well, if you go into a cave, you're going to be going underground, so it's going to be still.
No, not still. It's definitely still. I mean, like stale, like a bad mine.
That would depend largely on who's using the cave, if anybody, most recently. You don't get a straight-up bad vibe from anything right off the bat, though.
Yeah, we could give it a shot, at least.
Okay. All right. Just light a torch and I guess start heading in. Pass it up to Rolf. Let him carry it.
Make Rolf carry the torch. Where do you have
No, I mean,
Rolf marching in relation to the rest of you?
Should we do a marching order? How
Probably
big is
a
the?
good idea.
How wide is this cave?
How large of an entrance do you select, Raazu?
Oh, probably about 8 or 9 feet.
Okay. So you're looking for a fairly wide mouth.
Could you pick a multiple of 5?
I love using
We,
numbers in D&D that are not multiples of 5 and watching people
Can we get a Rolf token?
get a Rolf token.
Yeah,
Sure.
for a marching
There you
order.
go.
Bad Rolf.
Where is he?
Take this red one right here.
All right. Well, gee, I'm the only one with dark vision that's not immediately obvious, so I'll be the scouting ahead person.
Okay.
Okay. I'll lead the rear guard then.
All right, let's get a perception check, please.
Yep. That would be a 26.
26. there's some sections of the cave where you have to squeeze to kind of get past. And you're using the sound of moving water to try to navigate. Try to make sure that you don't enter a path that's just a dead end that will lead you nowhere. You're trying to stay close to the surface and close to the moving water of the river, which is trickling through all of these rocks in lots of different places.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after ducking into one of these little paths, just to kind of scope it out, see whether this is the path you want to take or if you're going to be doubling back, you hear ahead of you something very strange echoing off the walls of the cave. And at first, it's just the sensation of reverb. You can tell it's not the sound of water. Staying and focusing on it, it sounds like clicking or whirring metal, like a servo trying to fire up and then stalling out.
And I don't see anything of this, I'm just hearing it.
You're just hearing it, and because of the nature of these caves, it's very difficult to tell what direction it's coming from. It's got to be coming from in front of you somewhere, but whether there are branches or whatnot, you have no idea.
I'll move back to the rest of the group. Tell them there's some sort of mechanical device ahead. Going to
Worth investigating, you think?
Yeah, let me try and sneak over there and see if I can find what it is without being seen.
Okay.
Sure. Blow the horn
gonna stay here.
if it gets dicey, I guess.
Yep.
Make a stealth check.
That would be a 26.
26.
No, I'm wrong. Sorry, 16. What am I saying?
16.
Yeah, way different.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
I like that you have the moral fortitude to correct yourself in that direction, though. Most players would be like, oh, I'm sorry, no, it's a 36.
Brick, who reminds you when enemies forget to take their OAs?
It's true.
I always remind our DM when he does that, too. And there's a player in our group that just gives me a dirty look every time.
I'm assuming that's what Nodal's doing, but I can't see him.
We need to make Nodal start to use a face cam. So
That would mean you have to try to put on pants.
Sounded
What
dick,
part of
you know?
face cam is? Yeah, where are you aiming your face cams?
This is Twitch, man.
Red.
They know.
sneaking through these caves, and you're being really silent, and you make a investigation check.
Mm-hmm.
DC is 20.
I got a 21.
21. It's very difficult, but you have to kind of navigate just on sound to pick the direction that this is coming from. But you realize after you take a couple of turns, the air starts to get noticeably hotter. And there's no natural mechanism that could be driving this. You're not deep enough in the earth to hit, like, a magma vein.
Geothermal pocket.
Exactly.
Or something?
And you start to correlate the sounds of this, like, metallic movement with the increase in temperature.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, you find a kind of open space littered with stalactites covering the ground. Some of them very tall. Some of them 2-3 feet in height. Peering up, you see several other entrances into this large space, but you can't see the top of it from where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
As far as you can tell, this continues up some unknown distance. And it's a very echoey chamber. In the center of this area, you see this flickering light. This metal contraption laying in the middle, and it sparks like it's trying to ignite. And looking around, you realize you're looking at wreckage, like somebody dropped a machine of some kind, and there's just pieces and shrapnel and debris littered through the area. Some of it is impaled on these spikes. You see in one hand, or on one side of the cave, what looks like a metal arm. like a suit of. At first, you think it's a suit of armor of plate mail, with a glove, but you realize there's something inside the arm. It's not empty, and it's clutching this battle axe, and you see it twitch, kind of on its own every few seconds.
Yeah, let's go back to the rest of the group and tell them what I found.
Okay, so Red says he's going to go off and investigate this sound. It's a good 30 minutes or so by the time he gets back to you guys, and he reports what he has seen.
It's about to come after you, but that's interesting. That's strange, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, let's go check it out. I just figured going in there by myself was probably not the safest thing.
smart call.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess we go to where Red found it.
Okay, and
Found
yeah,
the thing.
are you guys trying to be stealthy as a group?
I don't think we can.
I mean, I know
I
you
think we
can't. My question is, are you
Yeah.
trying?
Should we at least put forward a token effort?
I mean, we have.
I
a
mean,
torch.
everyone but you two can.
I mean,
Like,
just
there's a-
Raazu has disadvantage. I don't know if Adrex does.
Well,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. It's a group stealth roll, so.
Yeah. Which would
Here,
mean
I'll
I'd
tell
be
you
making
what.
the
I'll
roll.
let you roll the die.
That's a D12.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you're not going to go any higher than that.
So this time when you enter the chamber, because you're with your companions now, and they're making more noise, you see an awareness, this strange device in the center of the room that's trying to spark stops, and you hear a cracking sound, like a banging, and you look over where the arm is laying, and now instead of twitching, it's making some effort to swing this axe in your direction, but it can't move anywhere because it's just a broken arm laying on the ground.
That's just kind of sad.
Yeah. What
There,
is
there,
it?
buddy. You'll be able to murder her again.
What is this?
So I'm going to go up to the main device itself and try and get a better look at it.
Okay. So Red's going up to the main device. What's everybody else doing?
I'm there next to him.
Okay.
Adrex is next to the torch.
Okay. Are you guys telling Rolf to come with you?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's the torch.
I'm gonna go examine the arm.
You're going to go examine the arm. Okay.
Yeah.
So Wendy's going to the arm. Everybody else is going to the main device.
Yep.
I need a Constitution saving throw from everybody except Wendy.
Is this against magic or a spell?
It is not.
+4 for everybody.
Rolf
Good.
actually makes it. Good job, Rolf.
Good
You
job.
gotta be kidding me. I get +4.
Yeah, +4 from Raazu.
So 13 on red.
That's 15.
19.
Looking for a 17.
Ah.
Sorry,
God.
I have to do math now.
I'm so mad about this.
36 points of fire damage, which you can cut in half if you pass that save.
Ow.
As you approach this object sitting in the room, it looks like the door on like the metal door on like a wood burning stove. It's heavily cracked down one side, and it's obvious this door won't close correctly. It's just kind of sitting open, but the cavity inside is trying to spark, and as soon as you get close, the thing just emits this hot blast of searing steam that scorches everybody but Wendy. And after that, the boiler part falls silent and ceases sparking. And Wendy, you hear one last crash as the arm hits the ground clutching this axe and stops moving entirely, just as you get up there.
So
You guys break it?
Is
I think
Rolf?
it broke
Does
itself.
Rolf have more than 17 hit points?
Oh, no, Rolf's unconscious. This blast knocked him to the ground. I'll give him
Raazu
death
rolls her
saves, but
Raazu rolls her eyes and then gives him a point of healing.
okay. And yeah, I mean, he's got severe burns on his arms and his face, and he's definitely shaken up, and he's not in good shape, but he does not complain about the situation.
Is there anything else still moving on it?
Still moving in the room, you mean?
Yeah.
Like metal parts? No. Everything falls silent after the explosion.
Well, let's continue moving over and inspecting the thing.
Give me a perception check, Red.
Perception of 10.
Of 10. It doesn't look like the explosion did any damage to the device that wasn't already there. Like the thing, it doesn't look operational anymore. It's not trying to spark itself, but this wasn't an explosion in the sense that like the device blew up. It looks like it purposely emitted this blast of steam. And laying around, you just find lots of pieces of broken metal debris. What's everyone else doing?
So how is this arm like connected to the main device?
It's not. It's been snapped off. It's just an arm laying there clutching this axe.
But it was moving anyway.
It was. Yeah, a minute ago before
That's
this
weird.
blast of steam. This arm, when Red first saw it, it was just twitching a little bit. When you guys came in, it was aware of you and was trying to swing at you.
Yeah, and I'll bring it over to the others, and I'll say, I think we're dealing with, I don't know, some sort of magic or something, because this wasn't connected at all, but it stopped when your thing happened over here.
When you pick it up, it is surprisingly heavy.
Well, why don't we rest for like an hour after that?
Yeah.
And then let's just start climbing, because this looks like this thing fell. I can't see anything up at the edge of where I can see.
All right.
Adrex has
Just
picked up
taking
the torch. So now Adrex
Take an hour rest.
Okay, so you guys can go ahead and spend hit dice if you want. Rolf does not have hit dice, because he doesn't have class levels.
Not yet.
I guess I should pick a stat block for him if you guys are going to be taking him into danger.
Well,
think
he
we'll
said he
go
wanted
with-
to come with us.
The bandit stat block in the monster manual would probably fit Rolf pretty well.
If you don't take a stat block, you can't die.
Forehead tap.
Yeah, we'll call Rolf a bandit. So he's CR 1/8. He has 11 hit points.
That's some hit points back at least.
So instead of continuing to follow the path to the exit on the other side of the river, you're going to climb up and investigate where this thing fell from?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, do you want me to go first and pit in the way, or should I? Do you want me to pit in the way on the as we first go, or do you want me to climb up and take a look, and then come back?
Might be better to. Well, I mean, if we're gonna be banging pits, we're gonna be making a lot of noise. So I don't think stealth is gonna be.
I could just run up there and drop a rope.
That is
Oh, yeah.
true.
Is there enough space for Winnie to fly?
I don't have to.
There is, yes, though. There's plenty of space.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give Wendy a rope and a pit, and
Yeah.
Okay.
she doesn't already have one.
How long of a rope?
I can give her equipment. 100 feet of silk rope.
100 feet?
Uh-huh.
So you're going 100 feet up into the darkness, and it continues on past that point. It's
I'm
higher
gonna keep
than
going because I
100
have some of my own rope.
feet. Okay.
How do I? Yeah. How does it look at 200?
200, it continues beyond that, but at an angle. It tilts. Instead of being directly kind of up and down, it opens up in a more northerly direction. And if you continue past that, it stops being like a chimney and starts being a very just steep slope, almost. That would still require some climbing aids.
All right. I think what I'll do is, assuming. Does anybody else have any rope?
I think Adrex does.
Because assuming that you didn't, I could just set up like a base camp here with enough pythons that you could rest for a moment while we moved the rope upwards. But if you have extra,
Yeah, Adrex does.
then yeah, I'll drop this down, python in the 200 feet, and let them know essentially the lay of the land. Get the replacement from Adrex, and start heading up to lay that down higher.
Okay. And as you're doing this work, make me a perception check.
All right. Oh freaking god! I'm just using R.
Oh my
18.
god.
18. As you're setting this base camp up, the idea being they're going to use the rope to climb up to this point, and then you'll go beyond this point with the rope and set up the second climb. Do I have that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's basically the idea.
As you're setting this up, you become aware of a noise. It sounds like an insect, like a dragonfly's wings. And it sounds very close. Like for a second, you like when a fly comes like right into your ear and it's super loud for a moment.
Yeah. And I'll turn, trying to like blow some air out and spot it.
Okay. And you can't draw a bead on it. Just
Does
like
anyone else hear that?
Well, I thought you were alone. I thought you came up to set up the
Oh,
base camp.
oh, this is happening up at the top.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
While you're up there
All right,
hammering
well-
the pittons in.
I'll just continue doing what I'm doing then.
Okay. And as you do, just every few moments, you hear that buzzing sound. And it sounds like it's kind of flitting around in all directions.
I'm gonna kind of wait for a moment as I like put it down, and then the next time I hear it, I'm gonna try to grab it.
Okay. Make a 2-hit roll.
Okay.
Are you using your wind as well to try to see it?
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm gonna grab it. That's a 12.
And you snatch out at it, but your hand comes back empty.
All right.
Didn't have a pair of chopsticks.
Didn't have a pair of chopsticks. If I'd had that,
And what's next?
I'll finish my work and head downstairs to let the others know current state of things.
And Wendy comes down and reports that a dragonfly got the best of her.
It's weird.
Rolf expresses concern that we're going to have to climb all the way up that.
Yep.
And you can tell that he's very nervous about this prospect, but again, he does not complain.
You could wait down here if you like, Rolf.
Alone in the dark.
And I'll clap Rolf on the back. Glad to have you on the climb.
Is anybody not heading up this rope?
Nope.
Who's up first?
Wendy.
Wendy.
Well, do you even need to climb?
No, that's why
So
I'm up
Red will
first.
be first. Oh, okay.
So Wendy, when you first arrive up at where it starts, you picked the most stable and flat section, but I mean it's still going to be difficult to remain here for a long period of time. Maybe an hour or so would be okay, but any kind of long rest here would be impossible.
Right.
And when you get here, you realize that you don't no longer hear the sound nearby. I mean, you listen for it for a few moments, and then you start hearing Red coming up the rope behind you.
And I'll let him know this is around where I heard it, but it seems to be gone now.
And the rest of you climb up to Wendy's arranged base camp here on the slope.
All right, and I'll start untying the rope and moving it forward.
Okay.
For the next trick.
And now it's not a vertical shaft. It's this long slope. And are you going up alone to secure the rope?
Probably, unless someone can. No, yeah, I'll be fine on my own. Worst comes to worst, I'll just leave.
Make a perception check.
All right. That's a 16.
You don't hear the sound again, but a few points when you put your foot on the floor, it feels, I mean, you feel the solid stone, you feel like the broken pebbles and bits of dust and thing, but there's a few points that feel slick.
Am I within, if they had light, am I within eye shot of the others?
If you had light, they would be able to see you, yes.
Alright, then I'm going to reach into my pack and I'm going to pull out the dim light torch.
Okay, and you guys see the illuminating blue glow up ahead, maybe a little over 100 feet.
And I'm going to say, Red, there's some kind of moisture here. Can you make it up here to take a look at it for me?
Yeah, I can shimmy up the rope.
Well, you haven't secured the rope at this point yet. This was on your climb.
Oh, okay.
Are you gonna hammer it down for him?
No, I just climb the stalactites, right?
Well, the stalactites are back at the bottom of the room. There's no stalactites on this steep slope.
Is this still a vertical climb? It's not to the point where it's leveled out yet?
No, it's not vertical, but it's neither is it level. It's a very steep slope.
Is it smooth? Is it rough enough that I could climb it?
Yeah, with an athletics check.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not really my strong point.
I'll tell you what.
This isn't where Wendy was.
I'll head forward a little bit, and I'll secure this, and then you can pop up here. Take a look at it.
Okay.
I won't go as far as I was planning on, though.
Okay, so you go a little bit ahead, and you hammer the rope down, and you throw it back to him?
Yeah.
And yeah, now that this rope is secure, you can kind of climb your way up to the point that Wendy indicated. And yeah, there is some kind of fresh, slick substance on the stone, but you can't tell what it is.
How much of it is there?
Do you have a light source?
Well, I have dark vision, and Wendy had her torch out.
Well, Wendy can't see, and dark
one.
vision doesn't discern color.
Do you have a torch?
Yeah, I have a torch. I have a candle, actually, that works.
The candle works.
Yeah.
When you strike the candle, because having been in caves like this before, like this is exactly the kind of cave that like would be networked with like kobold tunnels or something similar. You're almost expecting a spat of blood, but when you put your candle down close to it, you realize it's not red, it's black. And there's just a smear of it. Well, if it was old blood, it would be dry. It wouldn't still be slick. This is not a stain. This is like an actual smear of substance. It has not had time to dry yet.
Does it have a smell to it?
And how much of it is there?
Just a smear of it. Just like if it was blood, like somebody had been injured here, and then maybe they limped away from it after binding their wound.
Did we on the way up see any places? Oh, sorry.
It does have a very metallic smell to it.
Okay. On the way up, did we see any places where it looked like that thing had impacted on the way down?
This might have been it.
Look, make an investigation check, and I'll let you make this at advantage because Wendy's there to assist you.
Mm-hmm. I'm holding the flashlight.
That would be a 19.
Okay. You do find a few places along the slope and along the walls where there looks to be freshly broken pieces of stone. You do find a couple, like springs and sprockets littered about, and you put it together. Like whatever that thing at the bottom was, yes, it must have come tumbling down this slope and then fell through the chimney and landed at the base of the cave below.
These are very precise pieces of equipment. Is it like some kind of parts to some kind of machine then?
Adrex, make a history check.
History
or religion, one of the two.
Ha.
We all know that Adrex loves the gods.
There's a 16.
He's a god expert.
Adrex, you would know, having been from the far north where your sire lives, far beyond the edge of this map. If you haven't encountered them in person, you would have heard the rumors or the legends of the metal men who serve the Lord of Blades.
Oh.
And when you become aware of these
Alright.
metal pieces and this slick black blood, the reason this concerns you is you're nowhere near the north. You guys are way down here.
So, I don't want to alarm anyone,
Okay.
but
Uh-huh.
these seem familiar.
How so?
Well, they remind me
Of?
of the metal men
Wait,
of the Lord of Blades.
I'm sorry?
The who of what?
But
The what now?
we're way farther south. I don't know what they would be doing down here.
Okay,
Has
wait,
Adrex
that's...
ever
great.
encountered these creatures in person, or does he only know them by reputation?
Reputation,
Okay.
because I think that would be funnier.
I like that
You're
that's your
telling me there's a
quota.
Lord of Blades, and you haven't told us about them?
Allegedly.
And this is, I take it, a living god, or is that just a perfunctory title?
I don't know if he's a god. I guess he would be.
Is this
Yeah,
a god
let's say
like?
that.
Adrex is something or is something not a god should be fairly high on your list of mental, what do I know about this?
Well, it's all myths and legends, so...
Fair enough.
Raazu coughs a little bit.
And her cough echoes against the walls of the cave.
At any rate, the doesn't seem to be particularly dangerous. I just avoid that spot in case it's caustic or slippery or something.
Fair enough.
And as you continue to climb up the slope, you find several more such spots, and they do get larger and denser as they go, where the first initial impacts might have happened.
This is weird.
And
So
Wendy,
this-
are we
so
doing the
this
same
thing-
thing? You're flying ahead to secure rope for them to climb up to
Yeah,
your position? Okay.
Until we start getting really close, because I'm going to be honest with you, Wendy's starting to get very curious as to what's up the top of this path.
Okay. Red, the second leg of the journey. So Wendy has gone ahead the second time, secured the rope, and everybody's climbed up to the next base camp. During that next leg of the journey, you are the first one because you're out in front, noticing daylight, a pinpoint of daylight far ahead at the top of this slope.
Good. Get out of this musty cave.
And Wendy, make one last perception check, please.
You got it. Oh god, I know, I have to hit R. Okay, that is a 15.
15. Going up towards the top, at this point, Red has given you an indication that you're almost out of the cave. I mean, you can also feel the air start to cool down. And coming up to the next place you want to hammer a piton, your arm for a second brushes against something that feels warm and scaly, like you've brushed up against Adrex's arm.
Huh.
It's laying amidst just this little outcrop of rock that you were about to hammer your spike into.
I'll blow some air over it, try to get a good look at it.
And it seems to be a large claw. And yeah, a large reptilian claw kind of embedded in the rock here.
Embedded in the rock?
Embedded is the wrong word. Laying kind of pinched between two of the rocks in this outcropping.
I'm going to investigate a little bit further.
How so?
Try to find out what's on the other side of the outcropping.
Just the wall of
Is
the
there-
cave. It's just a couple of...
So like the claw is just kind of like basically like if I could see,
Mhm.
right? How much would I be able to see?
That's why I'm asking, what are you doing to determine what's on the other side? Like, are you poking at it with your fingers?
I'm blowing air over at pretty much anything to
No.
try to get a good
Just
picture.
the claw. It's definitely been severed. And you
Okay,
can smell...
that's what I was asking.
You can
Yeah.
smell the scent of blood in the air at this point. And there is warmth to it. that seems to be fading.
All
This
right,
happened
yeah,
recently.
I'm gonna try to fly up higher.
Okay.
Try to find out where it came from.
And eventually the air around you begins moving again as you exit the top of this long slope, and you're standing in what from below, down by the river, looks to be very, like a very high plateau. And at the time you were thinking, oh, we're not going up that way. We're just going to go in the cave and come out on the other side of the river. And now you're standing up here. And immediately you become aware of a large body laying in the area of a dragon.
Huh.
It's not breathing and it's not moving, but it's bleeding quite a lot.
I'm going to head over. I'm too curious to let it die. I'm gonna try to find it where its head is and pour it a healing potion.
I mean, it's pretty clearly already dead. It's already.
Oh, it's
dead.
already dead.
Yeah, it's not breathing. It's not moving. It's bled out. And when you get to its, I mean, good Samaritan you are, you get the healing potion out. But I mean, the warmth from its face is already faded by the time you get there.
Huh? What killed it? And I think at this point, I'm gonna get my answers faster with some eyes on the situation.
Okay.
So I'm gonna head back hurriedly and set up the pythons
Okay, when you do so.
and say, "Red, Adrex, if you could get up here faster, there's something died up here."
Mm-hmm.
I'll let Adrex go before Raazu then.
All right, Adrix will shimmy on up.
Okay.
Yep.
Adrex, you and Rolf come out of the slope of the cave, and from the top of the plateau up here, looking down at the foothills, you can see down through the mists, the forests, and the river below. This cave entrance is very deliberate. Like, this isn't just a random hole in the ground. You guys are climbing out of something that's very purposeful. Like, it would be impossible to walk through this path and miss this gaping hole that goes down into this slope into the earth. Adrex, you immediately see this huge and very dead and very grievously wounded silver dragon. One of its wings has been slashed almost entirely through. Even if this injury happened before its death, it wouldn't have been able to fly. One of its claws has been severed at the wrist. You see part of its tail also has. And you see along one of the rock faces of the plateau, you see this enormous this enormous crack along the wall where a great blast of frost has just hit the stone and caused it to crack and buckle, that you immediately recognize as being the breath weapon of a silver dragon.
Adrex, does this look like an axe wound to you?
And looking, Adrex, make a medicine check, actually. I mean, they're very clearly axe wounds, but...
That is a 13.
13? Yes,
sorry, 14.
This thing has suffered axe wounds. You see places where it's been pierced. You also see severe burns over parts of its neck and chest as you're examining it. Presumably from that steam blast that you got very, very familiar with. These axe wounds are deep and grievous. This is, like, you aren't strong enough to swing an axe hard enough to make this kind of wound. And you're pretty friggin' strong.
Axes, arrows, set on fire.
Probably not
Wow.
arrows, probably a spear. Like something with great forward force.
Adrix is just
What has the
staring at it with a jaw hanging.
What has
Like
the
these-
strength to do something like this to a dragon?
So, like, these metal things are pretty resourceful then.
Rolf looks horrified and mystified by the scene. This is clearly the first dragon he's seen.
First one I've seen too.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a dragon before.
Have you guys not fought a dragon in this campaign yet?
No.
What the hell have I been doing? 30-something.
Using them as living gods.
Dungeons and
gotcha.
what now? Dungeons and Pirates, I guess.
Yeah, Dungeons and Pirates.
What about the horde of this dragon? It's bone dry, huh?
It's
No
not.
gold, aren't
Well, it's not. You're not in its horde. You're at the top of this rocky plateau. But you're
Okay.
looking at a battle scene that can't be more than a couple of hours old. And you also see evidence that the Metal Man took injury here as well. You see splotches of its black blood around the ground. And you see a part just against the cave wall that you exited from that looks like a large splat of it. Like it was pushed with great force against the rock that caused him to then topple down the slope. Putting it together, it looks like this dragon fought this Metal Man, managed to push it down this slope to kill it, but then died of its wounds shortly thereafter.
Whew.
Just one of these things? Is there evidence of more of those metal men around this battlefield?
What are you doing to try to determine that?
Raazu's gonna survey it, gonna walk around a little bit. Is it
What's-
daylight right now?
What are the...
Yes,
Yeah, it's daylight.
Okay, yeah.
What are the confines of this plateau? Like, how big is it?
You guys are standing pretty close to the edge of it,
Mhm.
and looking down, you can see through the mist. You can see the forest and river area in the foothills where you entered into this cave. Probably you're in this section here, this orange section bounded by the river on one side, and then the forest on the other. Looking further to the north, you can see where it gets more mountainous, and then looking to the south, you see where it becomes more forested. As far as for how big it is, I mean, you could spend, if you were to trek north to the mountains, you're looking at probably a 2-day journey easily.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and gauge a sense of how big this plateau actually is, and while I'm doing that, I'm surveying for any more evidence of these metal men.
Yeah, give me a perception check.
Which side of the river are we on now?
You're on this side. You've made it, quote unquote, across the river. You've come
Okay.
out on the other side. If you were to climb down one of the rock faces from here, you would be on the side you want to be on.
That's only a 3 for my perception.
Only a 3. You don't see any other traces, but it's... I mean, you have considerable skill in tracking enemies and such, but we're talking orcs, humans, that kind of thing. You don't know anything about these metal men. You don't really know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So you don't see any evidence, but you also don't know what would technically count as evidence. You don't see any more big splotches of black blood.
Yeah, I'll come back to the rest of the party and say, didn't really find anything. Don't know what I'm looking for, though.
Rolf kind of asks if it's safe to eat dragon meat. So I realized that we had the sirens aboard the vessel, but is it poisonous to eat?
Adrex just slowly turns his head and looks at Rolf.
And he holds up his hands. He says he means no offense, obviously.
I'll make a cooking check.
What does Wendy know about dragons in general? Adrex, you do know that this dragon is definitely not big enough to be what you would consider a god, to be a deity. This is clearly not an ancient dragon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, otherwise it'd be gargantuan, not huge.
The way
I've
you were
heard-
describing it, I thought it was ancient.
No.
I've heard some. We had some contact with the red dragon who lived near the monastery,
Okay.
although we tried to keep away from him as much as possible.
Okay.
Live and let live sort of thing. And also just whatever kind of stories get told.
So
around the
that's
world.
definitely an ancient dragon.
Yeah.
And a lot of his minions would be Dragonborn and half-dragons and kobolds who are of his lineage. And probably you at the monastery would not consider eating any of those creatures.
I don't know, I'm a bird. Ate that siren. Alright.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, there's Treble.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Also,
Birdie,
Birdie's
where'd
here
you
all of a
drop
sudden.
from?
Tell you what, why don't you guys, because I have to go refresh my cup of tea, why don't you take a minute and just bring Birdie up to speed on what you all have found?
I'm sorry for being late. My car
It's all
died.
good.
Rolf wants me to be a cannibal. It sucks.
I mean, like, I think it would depend on what species of dragon. Like, if it's poisonous, like if it breathes acid, that's a no-go, I would say.
Well, you can cook that out. You just have to remove the venom sacs.
Well, so what we ended up dragging this wiener human along for some reason, and we ended up going through a cave. Ended up climbing up onto a plateau while inside the cave. And inside the cave, we found a metal arm trying to swing an axe at something, and then it exploded. That was fun.
There was also a body. The arm was separated. It was a big clockwork metal body with a boiler that exploded and did a ton of damage.
Yeah.
I think this happened in Doctor Who once.
Yeah. Probably.
All right, so Wendy, you're cooking up this silver dragon.
Oh, it's a silver dragon? No, that's totally safe to eat.
And we ended up. So we climbed up to the top of this plateau. And when we exited the cave, we found this body of the silver dragon just kind of laying out here. And from the signs, it looks like just this one metal man ended up taking out a silver dragon. At least that's from the evidence that we've seen.
Like, the heart is the best part. That's where all the dragon's power is.
That's how you become a sorcerer.
That's actually probably how you become a sorcerer.
I think that's the blood, actually.
Right, the heart.
We played in Horde of the Dragon Queen. One of our players decided to multi-class into sorcerer, and he did it by setting up a blood transfusion, like a dialysis from the dragon blood.
I feel like Brickroad would just be like, no, that's stupid. I'm giving you a blood STD.
That's exactly what I would have done, but our other DM was a cream puff and couldn't say no to multi-classing, so...
A dragon STD.
From this position, it would probably not be any more difficult to go down the outside rock face back to the surface than it would be to go down through the cave and complete your journey there. Either one would be about the same at this rate.
I guess we just go back out down the outside.
Yeah,
No, let's trek across this plateau and find this dragon's hoard.
Yeah, that too.
Oh, I'm okay with that. But is Mr. We Have Enough Treasure okay with that?
It was my idea.
I know. I'm just rubbing that in your face. Sorry.
Look, dragons may have some sort of magical thing, right? Like, that's your whole thing, right?
No, I'm on board with the plan.
Ooh, we can find a gift.
If we found, like, just some coins, I wouldn't be as concerned about it, but I'm pretty sure that's how dragons work.
No, we can find a guest gift. It'll be great. This is a good plan.
Yes, that's how dragons work.
Also, real curious where that metal man came from. Maybe we'll spot his tracks.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So you're going to hike across north across the plateau? Until nightfall?
Yeah. Sounds good. Look for signs of this is where the dragon lived.
Okay. Going across the plateau, you do see evidence of ancient ruins. Like, at one time, there was something built upon this site. Sometimes you see what might have been like a grand entrance going into a particular section of the rock wall that's long been caved in. Other times you realize that you stepped on what might have been a cornerstone of an old building. Nothing lives here now. In fact, you don't even see much in the way of birds or insects in this area. Eventually, by nightfall, you guys do come across part of a dilapidated wall and what looks to be the foundation of an ancient building. Some stones jutting up that were placed here that looked like long ago they may have been mortared. You see the ruins of an old well that's long since collapsed and is no longer bored into the earth. And this looks like as good a place as any to hole up for the night. until you complete your journey tomorrow. Is Rolf taking part of the night watch?